The U.S. Navy just committed $1, $8 billion to a single piece of hardware, a radar, not a warship, not a missile. A radar system, the AN/SPW-6, built by Raytheon and RTX Business. According to reporting from Naval Today, the new contract keeps its production line running and its fielded units maintained for years to come. RETENTIONCHECKPOINT. 030 resolution Ts. By the end of this video, you'll know what that $1, $8 billion actually buys, which ships get this radar, and why the Navy treats it as one of the most important upgrades in its surface fleet right now. Start with what's actually confirmed. According to Naval Today, the Navy awarded Raytheon a contract worth $1, $8 billion. The deal covers continued production of the AN/SPY-6 family of radars plus sustainment, the maintenance, spare parts, and technical support needed to keep already fielded radar systems running over their service life. This isn't a one-time purchase. It's a multi-year commitment to keep the assembly lines going and the radars already at sea in working order. Raytheon builds the system as part of RTX, the defense and aerospace company formed in 2020 when Raytheon Company merged with United Technologies aerospace businesses. SP-6 itself isn't new. It's already in service. It's fielded on the Arleigh-Burke-class destroyers built to the Flight 3 standard, the newest and most advanced variant of a destroyer class that has anchored the U.S. surface fleet since the 1990s. So what is SPW-6? And why does a radar justify a contract this size? In plain terms, SPW-6 is an air and missile defense radar. Its job is to detect, track, and help intercept threats ranging from enemy aircraft to cruise missiles to ballistic missiles, sometimes at the same time. It's built around an active electronically scanned array, or AESA, a radar face made up of many small transmit and receive modules instead of one large rotating dish. That design lets the radar steer its beam electronically, in fractions of a second, instead of physically turning a dish toward a target. It also scales. The same building block technology can be assembled into different sizes for different ships, from destroyers to aircraft carriers to amphibious ships, without redesigning the radar from scratch each time. RETENTIONCHECKPOINT. 4 o'clock stakes bend. That scalability explains a lot of why the Navy keeps investing so heavily in this family of systems. The radar SPY-6 replaces, the SP-1, has served as the Aegis Combat System's primary sensor since the 1980s. It was designed before today's faster, smaller, harder-to-detect cruise and ballistic missiles existed. Naval news and other defense outlets have reported for years that the Navy sees SP-1's detection range and target discrimination ability as increasingly strained against modern threats. The Navy's own public statements describe SPY-6 as offering substantially greater sensitivity and range, letting Aegis-equipped ships detect threats farther out and track more of them at once in messier conditions. The Aegis Combat System deserves a quick explanation for anyone unfamiliar with the term. It's the overarching command and control system that ties a ship's radar, computers, and weapons together. It processes what the radar sees and cues the ship's missiles, launched mainly from its VLS, or vertical launching system, the below-deck missile silos built into the hull. SP-6 is the sensor. Aegis is the system that interprets what the sensor detects. The VLS is the response. Upgrade the radar without upgrading everything around it and you haven't accomplished much. That's part of why a contract sustaining an already integrated radar across a growing number of ships matters to the Navy's broader air and missile defense posture, not just to one destroyer. It also helps to understand why Flight 3 specifically got SPY-6 first, rather than the Navy simply bolting the new radar onto older hulls. A larger, more power-hungry AESA array needs more electrical generation and cooling capacity than earlier Arleigh-Burke variants were built to provide. Flight 3 destroyers were redesigned with a bigger electrical plant and enhanced cooling specifically to support SPY-6 and the systems around it, according to Navy program descriptions. That's a structural reason the newest hulls got the radar first, not every destroyer in the fleet at once. For background, the Arleigh-Burke class is what's often called a blue water workhorse, a multi-mission destroyer that can operate far from home ports for extended deployments, escort carrier strike groups, and independently handle air defense, anti-submarine, and strike missions. More than 70 of these ships have been built since the late 1980s, making it one of the most numerous surface combatant classes in the world. Any sensor upgrade applied to this class, even gradually, touches a large share of the Navy's actual striking power at sea. Where does SPY-6 stand today? It's fielded, according to Navy and RTX public statements, on the Arleigh Burke Flight 3 destroyers now entering the fleet, the newest ships in a class whose earlier flight configurations still carry the older SP-1. The Navy has also said it intends to extend SPY-6 variants to other surface combatants as older SPY-1 systems get phased out fleet-wide. But the pace and full scope of that phase-out is a longer-term modernization effort. It isn't a single event tied to this one contract, and the public reporting on this award doesn't spell out a fleet-wide completion date. Here's the part worth paying attention to. This contract isn't about a single ship or a single deployment. It's about production capacity and industrial sustainment, keeping Raytheon's manufacturing line for these radar arrays funded and running, and keeping the radars already at sea supplied with spare parts and support. In defense procurement, sustainment contracts like this one carry as much weight as the original development contract did, because a radar system is only as reliable as the supply chain behind it. A gap in production or spare parts availability can leave deployed ships waiting on hardware with no other source. It's also worth being precise about what isn't known from the public reporting available so far. The contract announcement, as reported by Naval Today, COM, gives the dollar value and the general scope, production plus sustainment, but it doesn't itemize exactly how many radar arrays are covered, which hull numbers get hardware under this award, or a precise completion date beyond what's already been reported. Those granular details, when they surface, typically show up in the Department of Defense's daily contract announcements or in follow-up reporting from outlets like USNI News and Naval News. If you want the itemized breakdown, that's where to look next. So, separating confirmed from unconfirmed. Confirmed is the dollar figure, the contractor, the radar family under contract, and the general split between new production and sustainment of existing units. Not yet public, at least in what's been reported so far, is the exact unit count and the detailed delivery timeline for this specific award. RETENTIONCHECKPOINT. Last 60s payoff. The takeaway is simple, if not flashy. The Navy is doubling down on the sensor it considers central to modern air and missile defense, funding both the radars still being built and the ones already standing watch at sea aboard its newest destroyers. Whether that investment keeps pace with the missile threats it's meant to counter is a question that gets answered contract by contract, year by year, not in any single announcement. If you want to verify any of this yourself, the primary sources are listed at the end of this video. And if stories like this, on naval procurement and fleet modernization, are useful to you, there's more where this came from.